Hello and welcome again to Whiskey Reviews with myself, the Whiskey Novice, and you'll probably be glad to hear that this is the last time I'm going to hit the Bushmills for now. I mean, there's probably no doubt that I'll revisit Bushmills at some point, and I did say that I wanted to hit the core range of Bushmills before I moved on. So the last 4 reviews have been Bushmills, and this is my last, as I say, before I move on. And I did say, I'm cheating a bit because I did say that they were going to be the core range of Bushmills. And certainly the last 4 reviews I've done are off the shelf Bushmills products. I would imagine in most parts of the world anyway. But this is a little different. This is actually the Distillers Reserve, Distillers Reserve from the distillery itself, and can only be purchased at the distillery itself. Okay, maybe I'll pick it up on the secondary market, but I don't see it coming around too often. I'll not go into what I paid for it. I didn't pay that much for it for a 12-year-old. Let's go into the story of it. As you can see here, actually, I'm sort of packed a little bit, but I've poured this one as well, same as I did with the 10-year-old, because I do want to give this a while to settle in the glass. That's actually been poured for about 10-15 minutes now, so I just want it to settle away. And while that's settling, I'll tell you a couple of stories about the distillery and this is probably what puts me off. This is part of what puts me off Bushmills, and I probably shouldn't let it do so. I mean, it's something that sticks with me, but I'm a person that things stick with a bit. And I did the distillery tour 8-9 months ago, I think. And well, first of all, actually, the one thing that I'll tell you is about this. No, actually, I won't. On the distillery tour, the tour guide seemed quite well to do. He seemed to know what he was talking about, and you know, we did. We got round the tour, and we got to the end of the tour. And with most tours, you got a dram, couple of drams. You got your choice of couple. I took the red and this to try it, and the tour guide raised the glass with the rest of the group and gave a small speech and finished with sláinte, cheers, whatever it was. And as the rest of us sipped or did whatever we did with our samples, the tour guide set his glass down, and which I wouldn't actually have picked up on, for the simple fact that, I mean, this guy's a tour guide. He can't be drinking whiskey all day and have to drive home, but somebody else picked up on the fact that he didn't drink it and said, "Here, boy, you did not drink that." And he said, "Oh no, I don't drink." And when questioned further, he says, "No, I've never liked alcohol. I don't drink alcohol." And this basically got me to thinking, well, why are you've just tried to sell me this distillery and how good this whiskey is, and this is the best whiskey in the world, and this is why you should drink it. How would you know when you don't drink it yourself, was basically my question. And it just it sort of put me off Bushmills there and then, and it's not right, as I say, to do so, because the taste, you know, the proof's in the testing, and at the end of the day, it's about the whiskey itself. It's not about this one individual. But it wasn't just that; it was this as well. And this is what I brought this home. I tried it that day in the distillery, and at the time, I wasn't as knowledgeable. I'm still not knowledgeable by any means, but I didn't know as much about whiskey then as I do now, and I hadn't tried as much then as I have now, and I hadn't, you know, my depth of knowledge about whiskey wasn't as good then as it is now. And as I say, not that I know a lot now, and this I tried in the distillery and thought, yes, that's beautiful. It's this, it's that, it's the other thing. And I got home, opened it, couldn't wait to get home and open it and try it again. Opened it, tried it again, and didn't like it straight away. And I've continued to try it and continued to not necessarily like it that much. But that is neither here nor there. What actually sticks in the craw about it is, this is a distillery only reserve. This can only be bought in the distillery. Now, it's a 12-year-old single malt. Fair enough. It's bottled at 40%, which I find a bit of a letdown. It's one of those things that, you can only buy this really one place in the world. Give us a bit of quality. And this is what this lacks in, is where I have my beef. It's, according to this, strongly flavoured, rich, complex malt with sherry, dark chocolate, spicy notes. Evident, assertive on the palate, smooth, there's that word again, in the mouth. And that's about it. And it doesn't really give a whole lot. Ireland's oldest whiskey distillery, which, as I say, we did debate in a previous episode. Here it is, the 12-year-old. Now, straight away, that doesn't even, to me, it's thinner looking than the 10-year-old. On the nose, it's thinner than the 10-year-old. This is, what did I say it was? You see, it doesn't even tell you in this one necessarily what it's finished in. Straight away, I would say, had this been put out at even 46, even 43%, you would have given it more than what it is now. On the nose, yet again, Bushmills, fresh white fruit, apples, banana. It's very, very similar to what you'll get in Bushmills in the lower echelons. Now, I haven't tried the 16-year-old. People tell me the 16-year-old is incredible. At some point we'll maybe get to that, but yet again, there's the detergent thing off it. Let's go into the palate and see what it brings. There's more depth of flavour. I'll give them, there's more depth of flavour in the 12-year-old than there is in the 10-year-old. Neat. There is, but there's something in it that I just don't like. I can't quite tell what it is. Now, what I will say is I haven't had this for a while. And since this has got below the shoulder, it has got better. And that is something I recommend, yet again, to everyone. Don't judge, literally as a case, don't judge the book by its cover. Because your first taste out of a bottle of whiskey isn't representative of what that whiskey is. In my experience, anyway. Give it a while, let it open up. And this is why you let it open up in the glass as well. Give it a chance to, drinking it straight out. If you're one of those people that somebody pours you a Guinness, sets it down and you drink it before it's settled, you're the kind of person that's never going to enjoy whiskey properly, because it really has to sit, really has to breathe. There's that thing. I'm starting to get that thing now, that there's something in it that I don't like. And it's that detergent thing actually, to me, carries through the palate. And it's not only detergent, it's a thing, it's, to me, the best way I can describe it, I don't know if you remember those sweets called Parma Violets. They were a little hard purple sweet. We certainly had them here. Excuse me. And it's that, there's something on them, it's like Parma Violet. And the nose is starting to settle down and it's becoming quite flat. But then that being said too, once you get that on the palate and add to the palate, then I find the nose tends to get a bit flatter anyway, because you're not getting the same hit. I'm going to add just a touch of water just to see. It's yet again, and this was my problem. As I say, 40% that's put out at, which to me, for a distillery only reserve, is quite shameful. 43 wouldn't have been much to ask for. 46 would change that. Yet again, they're looking for yield, and the shelves are just sitting full of it. And it's not like as if you can buy it in your supermarket. So to me, put this out at a higher ABV and make it more attractive. Nose, that water has opened the nose up. It's made it slightly sweeter. And it's ruined it, to be honest with you. What was good about it, if anything, I just am not a fan of this whiskey. I'm honest with you, and I think sometimes it sticks with you, and I think you should keep going back and trying whiskies, because there might be something in it that you didn't like before, and all of a sudden your palate changes, your taste changes, the whiskey itself will change in the ball. Go back and give it another go. You may find something that you may find that you do like it, but this. It just doesn't do it for me at all. The finish is short, dry, not very punchy. There's not a lot going on, and I just find it a letdown. Now, while we're on the subject of Bushmills, I wanted to hit on something, because, as I say, this is where you'll stop with Bushmills. There's an awful lot now of other. There's the steamship range with all non-age statement, I believe, and but there are more and more independent bottlers out there starting to have their own effect on Bushmills whiskey. Now, getting back to terminology, what is an independent bottler? Well, an independent bottler, this is considered an official bottling. It's released by the distillery, so it's an official bottling of Bushmills. An independent bottler will buy Bushmills in a barrel, and either take it, keep it at Bushmills, send it elsewhere, and do what she or that party decides to do with it. So they age it in whatever way they want, they ball it in whatever way they want, they can colour it whatever way they want, chill filter it, etc. So basically it's an individual party taking a bottle of, or a cask of, or multiple casks of a distillery whiskey, aged, and finishing it in their own way, bottling it in their own way, and releasing it in their own way for the market. And as I say, whereas Bushmills probably, and I don't want to dip my toe in this too much, because you can say the wrong thing and be proved wrong, and I don't think it'll be hunted down by pitchforks, but at the same time, I just don't want to say too much. That Bushmills has been used by other whiskey producers for a long time, but probably more so in the new make spirit, what they're putting, bought by other distilleries as new make spirit and then aged by them. Young distilleries, an awful lot of young distilleries in Ireland now, but I'll get into that at a later time yet again. But these independent bottlers, and certainly, yet again, I haven't tried it, but I hear good things about Napogue Castle, supposed to be very good. There are other ones who don't disclose that they use Bushmills. It's strongly thought that they do, but I'm not going to name any names for the simple fact that if they're not disclosing that they use Bushmills, I can't really suggest that they're using Bushmills, even though they are. And you'll find them easy enough. It's not too hard to find. But certainly there are other independent bottlers out there. As I said, Napogue Castle gets good word using Bushmills. The Friend at Hand is where I would point you in Belfast. It's a whiskey shop in Belfast. It does happen. I'm very friendly with the owner of the Friend at Hand, but that's neither here nor there. What the Friend at Hand are doing are taking. They put out a 13-year-old finished in bourbon, all bourbon. They put out a 13-year-old bourbon and sherry, and they have the 13-year-old bourbon finish at cask strength, which is fantastic. It is, and I mean, it's proof. This is back to this thing. Why won't Bushmills do this? I mean, even the 16-year-olds put out at 40%. Be brave about it. Put out a cask strength whiskey. There's enough of us out there who want to try your product at higher ABV, and cask strength isn't much to ask. It's already there, and you cannot now say that. But 40% is where it tastes good. It might taste all right to some, It might taste great to some, but as I say, there's enough whiskey lovers out there ready to pay the money for a good cask strength whiskey. Now, as I say, the friend of hand are doing this, and they're charging for it, but it's very, very hard to get hold of. I mean, you can only buy this stuff either on the secondary market or at the friend at hand itself. They're also making a peated version that's now out on release, which is finished in ex Lefroy casks. So, you know, my underlying drive here is to say, Bushmills, please, there's enough whiskey lovers out there, excite us again, because, as I say, this has been the core range. I've pretty much done 5 bottlings of Bushmills from the bog standard white label up to 12-year-old single malt, and out of them all, the 10-year-old single malt is a good whiskey. It's one that I enjoy. It's fresh. It's, you know, it's exciting. It's certainly one I would recommend, put it like that, to single malt Irish drinkers. But even in that being said, there's better ones out there. So I think it's the time that Bushmills sort of need to start and step up, especially with so many Irish distilleries producing now, and they're now at the stage where most of them are going to be starting to put out their own. They've exhausted the new make spirit. They've been around long enough that their own spirit has started to mature to the point where they're going to be starting to put it out soon. So I think Bushmills need to step up a bit. And that's all I'm going to say about Bushmills for now. I'm going to move on in the next one to something, it's still Irish but a little different. And it's basically something that's keeping in this range of why I was explaining a lot of stuff. So I'm going to leave it at that and say cheers, thank you for watching, and here's to your good health. Cheers. Hey, thanks for watching my video. Please click and subscribe to be notified of further content.